Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of the penultimate episode forever for Better Call Saul titled Waterworks. This is written and directed by Vince Gilligan himself. He always does my favorite episodes in this show. And we were all excited about this episode because you don't know if we're going to see Kim or not, but clearly knowing that this was going to take place with the sprinkler company that alluded to in the title with Waterworks, that we were going to see Kim, and we do here. And it's shocking. It's Kim with brown hair, and we get to see her in this black and white timeline, but we also get to see Kim in this timeline right before the events of Breaking Bad. And there's a lot of things I really liked about this episode. I want to start with all the Kim stuff first because it did feel like it was split into two, where you had the Kim stuff and then you kind of finished off with filling out that Gene story that was going on from last episode. And with the Kim stuff, I really liked a couple things that really stood out to me. What I loved was just a subtle moment here when she sees someone who is like the old version of Kim helping the little man. It's almost like her just looking at the life she could have had, this like clear life, or she'd still get that thrill, maybe not as much as doing the cons with Jimmy, but a life that you can sustain and helping people, and that good side of her. And there's that kind of tragedy there for her story and her character, seeing that right in front of her, and she knows that, which I really, really appreciate they threw that shot in. I also, obviously, really, Ray Seehorn getting nominated for this Emmy is amazing, and I just was blown away by her scene on the bus when she broke down in tears, and we see this character finally break and cry like this. Really, really hit, especially after confessing to Howard's wife, which he had done. It reminded me a lot of Walter when he's talking to Skyler, where there's this addressing of their sins now, and there is some conscience there, and it's there with Kim, and she's finally doing the right thing, kind of getting out of that trance that Jimmy has put her in, and she's put herself in. And there is moments that were so important, like when they show the other end of that phone call with Jimmy, which a lot of people predicted was going to be something like this, where Kim was kind of not giving him what he wanted, him talking down to her like we've seen him do in the past to other people, and now we're seeing him talk to Kim like that, and his ego getting in the way. But also that, she's telling him to turn yourself in, and then he calls her out saying, she knows about where these bodies are and what happened to all these people. So I thought that was just something to kind of get the ball rolling in her head again, to do the right thing and kind of push her to face herself. And just being in Florida, being this brochure person, the most boring opposite life, where Jimmy, as we see as Gene, is still trying to do the Jimmy game and the con, and that kind of luck is running out for him. But you see the opposite end for Kim here, where she's actually doing the right thing in the end with all the wrong she's done, but actually addressing it, where, like Chuck has always talked about with Jimmy, he can just keep going and going and not really look at what he is deep down and this monster he is. And it's really showing you how bad he's gotten again with what he's doing with this man with the cancer in the house, which we kind of see continued here clearly. But he thinks he's going to get away here because Jeff actually comes through big time with doing this plot they clearly had planned if something was to go wrong, to hit into this car. But, Jimmy's cockiness is going to run out eventually. Maybe it was a little too easy that we were going to have him almost leave, and then he goes back upstairs, still's got to get more stuff and play house here. But what is so fascinating is we knew, as fans of TV and just acting in general, Carol Burnett being this heavy hitter playing Mary, and you knew there had to be more to this character, and we got to see it. You cast a Carol Burnett because of how important her really carrying that scene at the end there with Gene. And not only was the acting spectacular in that scene, specifically by her too, like that was just great. That is such a hard scene to pull off. But also the moment where Gene is in black and white and sees he is screwed when he sees the Saul commercial on her computer and it's in color and reflection in his glasses. That's something that will stick with me, and that's something only a Vince Gilligan can kind of think of. So really, really just brilliant stuff there. Now, I really am still feeling some tiredness here of this being just a giant epilogue these last couple of episodes, and it really is kind of now just shown that that was the wrap, right? Where when Kimmy dumped Jimmy, that it was the end of the Saul story, and that we are now kind of just filling in what's gone on now in the future timelines. And I think this is clearly the best episode out of this black and white for sure. And I think what was also, I cannot not mention, is the cameo here of Jesse, because this was a way better cameo to me than last week, where that felt like full fan service last week and kind of pointless. Where this I actually did like, because one, it is a character that you would assume they had to have crossed paths, Jesse and Kim, and it has more weight because it's Kim. It's a Better Call Saul only character. Now we're seeing kind of, how did she view someone like this Saul we know we're going to see in Breaking Bad, and we got to see that. We got to see how much of a monster he is, in him just ignoring her while she's signing the papers. And now he's talking to Francesca and everybody. He's just a different person. That's why that line hits so well when she says to Jesse that, when he asks, is he good at this, is like, she was good. He was good when the guy I knew, basically, is what she says. Something, I'm butchering that quote, but the point of it being that this is a different person she's even seeing in that office now, and she knows it too. I thought that was really good, and that was making that scene have a purpose to have Jesse there, and you might as well have Jesse be the one there, because this is two characters we wanted to see cross paths, and it's kind of cool to see before he even knew Saul. He just knew of him, that he had asked Kim about him. I actually really liked that, and it was way, way better than the cameo last week. So it's a head scratcher they even had the cameo last week with Walt and Jesse, if they're just going to have Jesse here. And it's still just a head scratcher they even announced before the season that they were even going to be in it, because it would just been awesome just to not know that. But I think that this episode, there's a lot of stuff I'm praising about it, but there's things that if it was a different show, you know, it's kind of easy, like I said, with him going upstairs, and a lot of people doing stupid things here, even to the point where you have Kim, when she's having Howard's wife read her confession and she does this big moment. There is something so easy about everything and all this time built up to have this scam happen, that when she actually confesses it and is found out, it's just through a simple sheet, and Howard's wife's just reading it all. It kind of just like, all right, like that's pretty much as simple as it gets to kind of transfer that information. Maybe it could have been a more rewarding way, but I understand it works also in a sense because it's not the main point of it. But I think that as a whole with this show, it's so hard because, again, this just felt like finally a good epilogue episode for me. I'm still torn how I feel about how this is wrapping the whole story as a whole of Saul, when the time we were in color and that momentum we had, and all the characters in the show, from Lalo to Gus to Mike, and that, did it all really tie great? I don't know. I'm not sure. And we're seeing now that Kim's being the more conscience focused one here, and that Saul is just a lost cause, and him, you know, really cool in this episode, just when he's Gene, just being Jimmy hardcore, wearing the ring again, doing the magic fingers, but it's just total just for him to be caught by an old lady, because he has been conning old ladies we've seen in the past, so of course that's how he's going to get caught. That really worked well. But I think that as a whole, I'm not sure, again, that I'm totally satisfied as a whole season, as a whole show, if this is really the best ending that could have been. But I think this is a really good episode of television, and a really good penultimate episode for a show, and a really good episode, I think, mostly for Kim. And I just think that it's really good. I don't know what else to say. It's hard because we got to also see how the finale wraps, but even with the little teaser they have the finale with him now kind of on the run, maybe it's a little too close to home with Breaking Bad's ending and El Camino also being on the run. So I don't know if that just is like, okay, you know, doesn't really cleverly wrap things, but we'll see. We'll see what next week has in store, but you kind of can see what's happening here and where it's kind of going, but maybe I'm completely wrong on that. But for now, I'm giving this episode an 8.7, and it's solid. There's some things I'll never forget in this episode, but you know, I don't think it was the most engaging, great episode of television, and I still think it's hurt by all black and white and a lot of this Gene storyline. But out of these three, I think these last three, this one was just way, way better. And this is stuff people we care about, connecting more to the Better Call Saul story, especially having Kim there, which really does, instead of watching a scam go on in Cinnabon for 50 minutes. But let me know what you thought. I love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment, try to respond to as many as I can. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of Saul. You know I'll be doing the finale next week. I appreciate all you guys. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And I'll see you next time.